moving, na 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 na. Wake up, Billies, wake up, Billies. Everybody gotta put the time in. Wake up, Billies, wake up, Billies. Voice our opinion and place your calling. WB. Be yourself, see yourself. This is a show by people. Billies our hope, so to kneel, let's read. If you left out is the vibe we dealing. Let's find a solution. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Love, respect, unselfishness and cooperation. That's all we need to build a strong nation. We are the people to make the changes. We are the changes. WB. And all the things that will happen like our blue skies. And nothing make people get victimized. Let's work together for better. We got to unite. Billies, yeah. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. Another day is here. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. We gotta keep moving. Na 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 na. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. Everybody gotta put the time in. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. Voice our opinion and place your calling. WB. Get up. Make every day count. Don't waste it, people. Do your part, play your role. Get where you need to. You can tune in from work or in your vehicle. If you got a problem, pick up the phone. Why wait till the time calling? It's a show with no matter even if you're at home. Just call in. WB. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. Another day is here. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. We gotta keep moving. Na 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 na. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. Everybody gotta put the time in. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. Voice our opinion and place your calling. WB. Be yourself, see yourself, this is a show my people. Billies our hope, so to kneel, let's reason. Your body feel left out is the vibe we dealing. Let's find a solution. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Love, respect, unselfishness and cooperation. That's all we need to build a strong nation. We are the people to make the changes. We are the changes, WB. And all the things that will happen under God blue skies. And nothing make people get victimized. Let's work together for better. We got to unite. Billies, yeah. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. Another day is here. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. We gotta keep moving. Na 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 na. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. Everybody gotta put the time in. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. Voice our opinion and place your calling. WB.
Good morning and welcome to Wake Up Billies Morning Vibes for this morning, Wednesday, January 5th, 2025. I'm sitting in for Brother Most High this morning. I'm Sister YaYa, Marin, Coleman, and it's that time of the morning, for we time that is, community conversation time from 6:30-ish to 9 o'clock this morning. That's for we time for Wake Up Billies Morning Vibes talk show, the #1 talk show that Billies when it comes to community conversations here on XTV and simulcasting on Creme Radio. We're live streaming on Facebook, XTV Billies, and on YouTube, XTV Billies. Give thanks for wake up this morning. It rain, little chillish, and you know, flu-like symptoms and flu to go wrong, so we have to take better care of ourselves this morning. But give thanks to wake up with a move, and you know the area, we have to give the weather forecast, and then we're going into the news brief. And the weather forecast is being brought to us by weather forecaster Catherine Cumberbatch, and it's being brought to us by Belize Meteorological Service. So, you see what the weather look like for today and the rest of the next few days.
Good morning. A weak cold front is affecting the country. The 24-hour forecast for Belize and her coastal waters calls for cloudy skies today with sunny breaks, and high temperatures are expected to reach 80 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 81 inland, and 70 over the mountains. Tonight, the skies will be partly cloudy with low temperatures of 72 along coastal areas, 67 over inland, and 60 in the higher elevations. A few showers or periods of rain will develop along central and southern coasts during the daytime. Thereafter, the activity will become isolated. The winds will blow from the north to northeast at 10 to 20 knots, and the sea state will be moderate. A high tide is in progress, and this will follow by a low at 10:28 a.m. Another high will occur at 4:45 this evening, and a low at 33 minutes past midnight. The sun will rise at 6:25 a.m. and set at 5:33. The moon comes up at 12:49 this afternoon and set at 9 minutes past 2 tomorrow morning. The outlook for Thursday and Thursday night is for mainly fair conditions to prevail, and showers will be isolated. In the sargassum forecast, latest satellite imagery suggests that there is a slight increase in sargassum in the area. However, chances of sargassum affecting beaches and any potential impacts remains low. And that's your morning forecast that was prepared here at the National Meteorological Service.
The first radio in Belize since 1989, Creme FM presents the news. Informative, accurate, current information, local, regional, and international news, weather and sports. And now, the news.
Fishers believed to be Guatemalans attempted to intimidate a ranger patrol for the Toledo Institute for Development and Environment TIDE on Monday morning. TIDE Executive Director Leonardo Chavalier shared that Coast Guard officers were extracting illegal gill nets that had been set in the Cayman Crown area of the Sapodilla Keys Marine Reserve when a ranger patrol with 2 rangers arrived on scene just a few kilometers from the borderline. He picks up the narrative from there.
So the Coast Guard team had encountered all of these gill nets, totaling about 9, and they were in the process of extracting this when our team reached the area where they were working. And while they were extracting these gill nets, they started observing that there was a vessel lurking about 800 meters away. So the Coast Guard team that was initially there decided to request from our team to kindly go and identify what was the real purpose of that other vessel. While our team moved towards the vessel started speeding off towards the Guatemalan border, and our vessel was basically following them. But upon reaching the line that we know as the borderline, our vessel decided that, you know what, at this point it's best that we return back into Belizean, what we know as our Belizean waters. So we didn't cross that line towards the, in other words, approaching the Guatemalan area. But the Guatemalan vessels went across to the Guatemalan border, and then 2 other vessels joined the Guatemalan vessel, and then they decided, no, instead of them being chased, they decided that they will pursue our vessel. And that's when they started coming across into Belizean waters and chasing our vessels, the three vessels. So our team had no choice but start to move and mobilize more into Belizean waters. At this point, the alleged Guatemalan vessels, because we are not certain if they are Guatemalans, we are only assuming because of that's the Guatemalan border area. Shots were fired in the air, about 10 shots, and our team had at that point had to take cover and try to reach more into Belizean territory as possible. And then the vessels upon identifying that now they were in Belizean waters, they decided to stop, turn around, and then went back towards the Guatemalan coastline and the borderline.
Chevalier explained that around this time of the year, this illegal activity increases, but it had never gotten to this level of warning shots before.
This area of Cayman Crown Reef is a hot spot for this type of activity. It involves a lot of illegal fishing and the use of illegal fishing gear, especially around this time, which we know is the fish ponding aggregation season, which begins in December and runs out through to June every year. So this is the time when these species are reproducing, and then they capitalize on this by setting these gill nets and these illicit destructive fishing gears. So we ramp up our patrols also, and hence the reason why during this time we normally encounter this type of activity. This has happened before, but it has not reached, well, from the time Tide has assumed co-management, it has not reached to the point where shots have been fired like this. So it shows that it is a dangerous situation, as these gill nets could run anywhere from $800 and above for one gill net. So yesterday we pulled up 9 gill nets and more were still left in the water, and we had to return today to remove more gill nets that were in that area. So it shows that, I mean, it's a big loss, although these are illicit fishing gears, and people will naturally try to protect what they consider their property.
Does it deter you all in your work going forward? Like, how do you foresee you will proceed? Like, can you get more Coast Guard? Like, I don't know how you deal with that situation.
Well, the support that we have from the Coast Guard has been phenomenal. We never conduct patrols in that area without Coast Guard presence. As you may know, Tide Rangers do not carry arms. So whenever we go on these types of patrols, we depend heavily on the presence of Coast Guard personnel who are the armed forces. And this will not deter us from conducting enforcement initiatives in the area, because we know that we have assumed co-management officially since 2024, and we have taken up full co-management since April 15th of the entire Zapadilla Keys Marine Reserve, which we know as Belizean territory. So we have the mandate to protect the fishery resources in this area, and these type of activities will not deter us, especially during fish ponding aggregation season, when we know that we need to protect these fish ponding aggregation sites.
As we shared as part of our extensive reporting on the gillnet ban of November 2020, the area of the Sarstoon is no longer a gillnet hotspot, as it appears illegal fishers are setting their gear further away from the areas patrolled by our rangers.
I can only speak specifically about the areas that we co-manage, right? So the areas that occur on the borderline or outside of the protected area, we know that there is a lot of illegal activity occurring in these places. We know that gill nets have been found routinely. We know that almost on a weekly basis, some of our concerned citizens and fishers have been pulling up these gill nets. I mean, if you have seen footage from PGTV, you would have seen that on several occasions, local residents who work along with Tide closely have been pulling up these gill nets and other illicit fishing gear, such as long lines. As a matter of fact, yesterday, it wasn't only gill nets that we pulled up, we also pulled up long lines. So what is happening outside of the boundaries of the protected area, I mean, it's just probably 10 times what is occurring within the protected area. So we really need to ramp up and try to, as best as possible, see how we could deal with the situation if we really want to protect our fishery resources.
The Commandant of the Belize Coast Guard, Rear Admiral Elton Bennett, fully expects that the now ramped up activity may continue.
They will. They will. Listen, there's a reason why the Coast Guard patrols that area. There's a reason why Tide is interested in that area as well. Will they return? Of course they will. Will the Guatemalan Navy come at some point? Yes, they will. But we have a responsibility to ensure that we patrol our sea spaces, and we will come across these incidents, these illegal vessels in our sea spaces, and we will have to address those. So yes, we do expect that illicit activities will attempt to encroach in our sea spaces.
Control Unit in the Ministry of Agriculture, Food Security and Enterprise yesterday informed that it introduced additional measures to improve compliance with price control regulations. In the case of San Pedro, where violations were found to be rampant, the unit is partnering with NEMA San Pedro to train designated persons to identify violations and issue tickets, especially during times of emergency. In the case of Belmopan, the unit has engaged with the City Council to whom violators will be reported as the Trade Licensing Authority. Additional personnel is being obtained for Orange Walk and Independence, where regional offices will be opened. Finally, the unit will now expand its surveillance activities to the wholesale segment of the distribution chain. A list has been provided of 152 stores that became the most recent establishments to be ticketed for offenses like failing to display the price for a controlled good and having items at prices higher than the control price. The Shine Barrow UDP is reporting it has secured a full slate of general election candidates for the Belize District, including the 10 for Belize City and those for Belize Rural South, Belize Rural Central, and Belize Rural North. UDP leader Moses Shine Barrow yesterday reported there was a meeting with the regional leader and the Eastern Region standard bearers. 11 people are pictured in the photograph. Reports are that Barrow has chosen to pit Jose Espat against Honorable Tracy Panton in the Albert Division. However, Espat on his Facebook page stated he was still deciding if he would take up the post. Barrow is also fielding someone against Honorable Patrick Farber in Collett. Barrow's attorney has also indicated they will be agreeable to mediation with the Tracy Panton UDP. However, he says there has to be genuine intentions and he's not seeing this from the other side. The Attorney General's ministry, under which the Vital Statistics Unit falls, has been indicating for some time that it is moving to digitize the services at the unit. On Monday, it was announced that this month, the staff at the Corozal, Belize City, San Ignacio, and Punta Gorda offices of the Vital Statistic Unit will take 2 weeks off to attend a training, quote, for the upcoming digitization project, end quote. Those offices will therefore be closed from January 13th to January 24th. The VSC is one of the government offices most visited by members of the public, and the expectation is that once the digitization occurs, people should be able to apply for documents online. In April of 2024, the VSC received 440,000 Belize dollars worth of IT hardware to support the digital transformation. No date has been announced as yet for when the transition will happen. And that brings us to the end of this morning's news brief. Immediately after WB this morning on mornings too, from 9 to 12, then we'll have more news conversation. Usually it'll be grassroots news, we don't make mainstream media, or news from mainstream media. It's just that the personalities flesh it out some more and then people call in and participate in the conversation. So community conversation continue. And then on Crumb Radio, there's a full news package at 12:30, a news brief at 3:15, and a full news package at 5:15. And here at XTV, there's a full news package at 6 o'clock. So we're going to take one quick break and come right back, open up the phone line so we could reason.
The first private radio in Belize since 1989. The news. Informative, accurate, current information, local, regional, and international news, weather and sports.
Welcome back to Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes talk show here on XTV, simulcasting on Creme Radio. And we're scheduled for there till 9 o'clock this morning. And I really hope when I just make this phone ring till 9 o'clock. The number is 280-5848. 280-5848. My first time for turn up on WB for this new Gregorian calendar year of 2025. I really want to call and tell me some lessons that I learned from 2024, what are they carrying to 2025. And it's rough, you know, to sit down here and on a call and the host have to think of something for talk about, and then you have to keep the talk till somebody call. So I want to know that pressure when they're on a call in. That's why they're asking for call 280-5848. We're not going to talk about anything we want to talk about. We could change the conversation at any time. If we don't want to talk about good things that are happening in our life, because we're not getting enough joyful news. We really, open to joyful news, especially for 2025. One of the things that I want to look at this morning is I often wonder how people do it. The minimum wage, I believe, is $5 an hour. So if I work for the week, I'm being $200 a week. And I really want to know how people do it. Making $200 a week, especially if you're the rent somewhere and you have one child or more than one child, if you're a single parent or if it's a two-parent household, if you're responsible for an elder, if you may have one child with different abilities, if you have to travel, like I really have to make time for that bus out of Ladyville, because this is something where really, and I know I'm not the only person where I'm concerned, because I hear other people talk about it out the road, talk shows, news stories. There's so, you know, there's a fish a person know and said a fish think. So if you left the government of Belize, whenever anybody will work for the government of Belize, especially the ministers, CEOs, have one interview, have one press conference, send out one press release, 8 out of 10 times, they want to look for the good side. You seldom hear people, and it's not just unique to Belize, but whether Belize or the top of Belize, would I take ownership for saying, you know what, we mismanaged this money. We didn't hire competent people. We hired people because of their loyalty to the political party we represent. They not come out and say that. So when we not hold them accountable, and then they not come out and own their dirtiness, then we want suffer as Belizeans, because like right now, March, the budget speech. And I really, if anybody know or want 2 cents about the budget, I'd appreciate somebody calling and share too. The number is 280-5848. So I'd ask we the Belizean people that forever we want to tolerate bad behavior from the people where some of them people vote for, some of them people never vote for. And we just want to complain, and then they want to continue the bad behavior, and we complain and then continue the bad behavior. And because they don't have one strong opposition right now, like they feel like that this administration that is, they want free for all. Like, you know, the talking is that the election won't be this year, and the talking is it will be early this year. Some people they say March. Me no know. That's what they say out the road. So I'm saying to the Belizean people, especially the everyday working class people, what we want to do different in 2025, we hold ourselves and others accountable. Good morning, and thank you for calling. I really value your call. Morning, sis. How did New Year treat you?
I'm calling.
Sister Sandra, how is it? How are you being? How is the New Year treating you?
Oh, fine, honey. Are you?
I don't write you to go long. I just want to check in and see how you're being.
Yeah.
All right.
We have to really check in on each other, because it's going to be quite a year.
Aye.
It's already starting out the year.
Hi,
and
sister.
that's what I'm calling about. Well, first of all, very quickly, I think most it was to raise the matter of the president of Honduras, the emission of that statement that she would be canceling American military bases if the deportation continues.
Yes.
Was it Mose who mentioned that?
Yes, it was on Monday. At least that's who I heard.
Well, an update. I don't know if at the time, because I didn't hear it when he started to speak, so I don't know if he had mentioned that between the 1st of January and the 3rd of January, they had deported 355. I think the media is thinking Honduranians were received at in Tegucigalpa. And some of those 355 were people who had been 20 to 30 years in the United States, had lived virtually none of their lives or very little of their lives in Honduras. So the deportation has started even for the year, even though the new president is not in place. So I was calling to alert your listeners that Mose was coming from a correct position on that matter of the deportation. My second point is this decision, YaYa, of Meta's owner, Mark Zuckerberg, to stop fact-checking. They will no longer be doing fact-checking. They are going to be doing just community notes. Now, I don't know if your listening audience is aware of the differentiation. If you put something on the social platforms, some of them, they have an army of employed, trained journalists who then check different points raised and different statements made and claims made to see if they are right, especially if on first notice they look wrong.
I think it's called third-party fact-checking.
Pardon?
I think it's called third-party fact-checking. Formerly Twitter used to do it.
Totally.
Twitter used to do it, and they don't do it anymore either.
They do. So now they are going just to community notes, where you, the ordinary listener, hear something, you decide it's wrong or know it's wrong. You don't have to know it's wrong. You just decide it's wrong for whatever reason, and then you put an alert, your statement is right. But there is no guarantee that your correction, nor the statement the person made, has been properly evaluated, right?
Sister Sandra, I saw that yesterday, or earlier this week, but I never understand what it means. I really appreciate you to call in and differentiate between the two. I hold that to impact.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so now, according to Zuckerberg's 5-minute statement, he said that they are going to be prioritizing, I'm paraphrasing him, they are going to be prioritizing correct information and speech, but you're going to get rid of the very method by which you ensure correct information. According to him, the use of these fact checkers that came about because of the 2016 Trump election period, but it hasn't really worked out because these fact checkers are prejudiced and biased and all of that. He implies all of that in his 5-minute statement. Okay? So immediately I heard that, I thought, okay, now we have a new war on information. Without any fact-checking, you can say anything you want. You'll be allowed to say anything. You'll be allowed to say YaYa has 4 heads and 6 eyes, and if nobody corrects you, that remains the fact as stated.
And Sister Sandra, and what's put there stays there forever.
Exactly. You made another point. Until that is corrected, that remains the fact as is. Now, why is that significant? Because here we have a situation where everybody understands, the African newsmakers, the British newsmakers, the continental European newsmakers, and some American newsmakers understand that Zuckerberg is now seeking to give Mr. Trump the all clear conclude that, and I'm not in the media, so I don't need to justify my conclusion. They have all concluded that before this started, that this is where Zuckerberg is going towards, which he's going. Now, here we have Mr. Trump yesterday in a press conference restating his claim, his intention, no, not only the claim, but his intention to take over Greenland and the Panama Canal, YaYa. Take it over by military force in the case of Greenland or by tariffs. He's going to tariff Denmark out of existence and military force for the Panama Canal. Never waste no time on tariffs in Panama. But Marin is claiming that you don't even know if Denmark has any right to Greenland. Now, this is territory that has been under Denmark's control for over 500 years. So, this is the utter danger we face. In countries like ours, which we already like to alter and structure the truth as our leaders want it to be, and we willingly go along with the restructuring so we could get the little scholarship for the child and the raise on our pay. You know, all kind of nonsense. This is where this is heading. You don't see that as utterly dangerous?
It is dangerous, Sister Sandra, at the same time, because more than one thing true at the same time. What want impoverished family for do when you know that education that the equalizer, and if you're licky behind a minister or somebody, your child won't get one opportunity, one grassroots community child could probably be a liar and change everybody's life. People look for personal survivor, but that because of this, make we continue staying in this situation, along with political leaders' complicity.
Which now has to be considered within the global geopolitical scenario that is unfolding in front of our very eyes. Yesterday, one of the reporters got up at Mr. Trump's place there in Florida, Mar-a-Lago, whatever they call it, and asked outside, he said, you know, please explain this plan on Greenland and the Panama Canal. As one of the, I think it's the Wall Street Journal, pointed out to him, but you never told us this in your election campaign. But I've listed it, YaYa. At this part I didn't know that he had already brought this up. Prior to his ever first campaigning, he became interested in this matter of taking back Greenland and had brought it up in his first tour of duty to the Prime Minister of Denmark, who said outright, no, we're not interested in selling anything at all. So now, here we are, facing the possibility of a whole set of geopolitical tensions that inevitably are going to involve us. Because as our leaders scramble to beg for their little money, they will go along with any nonsense in order to get the money to win the election. You see what I mean?
Yes.
But we will be going along with dangerous misinformation that have been those consequences. Man, leave the Panama Canal alone. But we in this neighborhood of the Panama Canal will have to join Panama in saying, no man, you can't get no Panama Canal back. Why do you want to reverse history? But we can't do that if we don't know that the news coming out of the northern world is wrong. You see what I mean? I consider it now, on top of the war, all the wars that have been fought, we now have an outright war on information. And it's going to be utterly dangerous for humanity. And not only humanity, for belligerent humanity. This is the war I'm concerned about. This is where I live.
Well, Sister Sandra, because the outright war on information has been going on, especially in North America, with only a few families owning the majority of the media sources, this is one of the reasons why we have encouraged people to listen to or seek out alternative independent news sources, because most Belizeans just listen to the traditional ABC, MSNBC, CNN, and they tell the same narrative. It's not independent journalism happening there. So then don't lock off that. That's sealed. The research done, they show you that one narrative. Now they carry to the next level.
To the legacy media, right?
Yes. And so now they gone to the next level now because you know social media, that one. Everybody that journalists know.
Yeah, exactly.
Dangerous.
Your analysis is right on point.
So the way we put this is okay.
But why is it now? The point was a battle. Now it is a war, and it's a war for men's human minds. This is where it is a serious war, because as we speak, an established journalist is seeking to bring together a team to buy back the Washington Post.
Bezos own that, right?
Pardon?
Bezos own that right now.
Yes. To take it back, because it is going, in her opinion, she worked there as a young journalist apparently, and apparently an older woman, and she's now, but she's horrified at where that portion of the media is going. But you see, this is the problem. The price becomes bigger, YaYa, for a society like ours that is more self-sophisticated. We're not committed to knowledge and information, so we don't have the armor and the weapons at our disposal to counteract that kind of war. That kind of war, where I come and I tell you blindly, oh, you know something? I just heard a piece of misinformation. Well, this is in the African media. Everything else they were saying was correct. Then it comes to the Panama Canal, and according to them, the Panama Canal was given to Mexico and the United States together. I don't know where they got that from. Then that ended, so you don't know where Mexico, but that is not correct at all. However, the kind of person I am, even though I know it to not be correct, I am going to check it to make sure that what I know is correct. You understand what I'm saying?
Sister Sandra, make I ask you something. How do you do so much research with someone who has a visual impairment? How you do it? Because I'm saying I would think it would be more challenging for you. And so if you to do it at the level where you to do it, for as long as you to do it, then you're saying, well, that's we don't got no excuse.
A visual impairment. Remember that.
Right, but
I have taught subjects. I have an unusual teaching history. I didn't study formally to be a teacher, but I'm a brilliant teacher. I have a gift for it. So I have taught the entire range of subjects that any teacher could teach in the primary, secondary, and post-secondary environment, formally and informally. So I have taught mathematics up to university fourth year level. I have taught geography up to university level. I have taught French, English, Spanish, German up to university level, up to PhD level. So that when you have that kind of background, you are able to process information. You have a whole store of information in your head. Some of it time has altered it and it's not correct, right? But you are more able to correct, and you are more able to listen to people listening to you you are more able to correct people in your, as people begin to speak, I can't help begin to correct because I have taught in a classroom. And in a classroom, I can't speak for any other teacher. My purpose in the classroom is to make sure my students get the correct information all the time, 24/752. So my students always knew in the years I taught them that do not let Miss Coyne say anything that is wrong. Correct her as soon as the wrong information comes up. Because as I told them, what use of letting me say something that is wrong, and then you go away with the wrong information and you know I'm wrong. Stop me right away. So that was a rule in my classroom. So a number of my teaching strategies have helped me over the years. As anybody begins to speak, it doesn't matter if it is an informal conversation, a social conversation, and I can correct them, you know. The Because if it is a social conversation, I am not there to teach you geography or anything, right? So I'll let you say what to say. But if a chance comes along and I have to say the thing, then I'll say the right thing.
So, Sister Sandra, why is it, do you think, that our political leadership, people in other leadership, as so far, they're not sure that they have the willingness or ability for using common sense, critical thinking, just for how they talk, that they know how they come across that they use common sense and critical thinking? What do you think? You think that the education system, why we have...
Well, the education system is in part, but remember, they entered politics to gain three things: power, influence, and wealth. They first have to get the power and to acquire the influence to capture the wealth. So none of them. I think I said this on the radio before a couple times. When the People's United Party was forming, a gentleman by the name of Henry Roberto, who was my great-granduncle, and who was extremely close to Mr. Price, he viewed Mr. Price like a nephew. And he was also very close to my mother. My mother was his grandniece, his great-grandniece. My mother's grandmother was my great-granduncle's sister. So he used to walk mommy home every day at midday. Not in the early years of the marriage, because he didn't approve of my father when he first married mommy, but they reconciled a couple of years after the marriage, and so he continued his habit of connecting with mommy once a day at midday. And on one of those sessions going home, he told her, he said, "Maggie, George came to see me and he's inviting me to join a movement they are forming. Either are forming or have formed, and I'm going to join. They are going to be fighting to get the vote." And then he explained to mommy why he supported that his family, in his own family, there were people who were literate, bright, smart, but they didn't own property, so they couldn't vote. And he wanted them to be able to vote. And I suspect that all that generation that joined Mr. Price and that movement in those days, whoever they joined, even Mr. Gold or Mr. Price, joined for those grander reasons. You know, the grand reason of the vote, more independence, more inclusion. They might not have used those words, but those were the things that guided them. They didn't join to get a house and to get a scholarship for their child. That was not articulated. But what happened, YaYa, is they, the people leading that movement and forming it, did not tell those people why they were really involved in the movement. You understand? Mm-hmm. They didn't tell them that. Because if Mr. Price had told my uncle, "Well, I'm forming this to get influence for and well for my family," he would have gotten a sound scolding from Uncle Henry.
Sister Sandra, you really, in your being, believe that from the get-go, that was George Price's intention, that it wasn't something that involved...
Well, I won't say all of them, but I would say a fair number of them, yes. And that is why we have ended up with such a sterile political environment. Don't we have a sterile political environment?
Yes, I'm fine. I tell people, because I'm fine, you are learning, that this administration, as of 2021, I think, the election, that the first dynasty administration ever.
It's a dynastic government we have. You know, when you hear, I don't know if you've followed any of the Lebanese, any discussions on Lebanon, but there have been some substantial discussions on Lebanon since this invasion by Israel. And in one of them, they describe a Lebanon that if you didn't know it was Lebanon, it would sound like Belize. You know, living here, I can put the Belize in place. I could scratch out Lebanon and put Belize in place. You see?
Sister Sandra, explain what you mean when you said I want dynastic administration and why you could strike out Lebanon and put Belize so people hear it plain.
Because in the case of Lebanon, you can name family names that have dominated Lebanese government for decades. The Gemayel family, for example. A number of the families in Lebanon, especially it started, some preceded the 20th century, but many began in that second and third decade of the 20th century after the Second World War, when the League of Nations was set up, and they divided the Ottoman Empire between and among, not as colonies, but as administrative units, between and among the French and the British and so on. And Lebanon came within that. Lebanon is, its history is part of that history. And so you have these families that, because, I'll give you an example, move away from Lebanon, YaYa, go to Germany. In Germany, I don't know if it prevails right now, but I know up to recent it was. Under German law, if you have a baby and you are of the wealthy elite who can afford to give your baby $1 million to, they have a maximum you can give the baby. Let's say it's $2 million. You can assign your baby this $2 million tax-free. So in other words, it's a free gift to the baby, right? And you can give that baby $2 million every 10 years, tax-free. So by the time that child is 20 years, that child can have at its disposal a 4 to 6 million start-up inheritance, right?
Yes.
Where wouldn't that place that German child with that start-up against inheritance against other German children who don't have that at a total disadvantage?
Yes.
Not to mention the fact that that German child who has that 6 million, 4 million, whatever legacy, will have gone to the best schools, will have had all the influence, access that the family name gives to him or her. So that child starts off in any race, man and me, like 20 miles, 30 miles, 100 miles ahead of the next child who doesn't have the sort of thing. So that is what dynastic power and influence and wealth give you. That is what. But my argument with that is that nobody sitting in the National Assembly of Belize arrived there with that inheritance.
Then come from working class people. None of them never wealthy people.
All of them. From nothing. And yet, and it is more painful to conduct yourself in that aloof way in a small, intimately connected society, connected either by sanguinity, that is by blood, or by affinity, that is by friendship and connection. Man, that is unconscionable. Unconscionable to do that.
So one of the things I said to people is, when, at least how I understand it from you, when we said that this administration, and I think that 43 years, this year, I think that 43 years of so-called political independence, that means that this is the first administration in every ministry and or department. They have somebody in a power and influence from the Price dynasty, either by marriage or by blood.
It's not only the Price dynasty. The entire, everybody in there almost has progenitors, people who preceded them in the climb up the ladder of power and influence.
Okay, so my correction is it's not only that family. So
it's not only that family.
It'll be other families then, because I think Belinda's does say
families.
There are a number of families, wealthy families, that have always been in control in Belize.
Well, this National Assembly of ours is, in my words, a deformity, not only because of blood connections, but also because of friendship and relationship connections. I have two relatives in that. assembly. Well, one of them is not elected. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And the tenants in Belize would be to exploit that relationship, which is not my operation mode at all. Now, one of those persons who is not in that assembly, he is the third generation of power in his family in this country.
He's the third generation. Would you be referring to he's the third generation, you said?
Of power.
Would that be the financial secretary?
Power, P-O-W-E-R, power.
Would that be the financial secretary?
No, I'm not going to name the person.
Okay,
I'm just
no
giving
problem.
that. I'm just helping the Belizeans to understand the deformed government we have.
Okay.
So what happens now is, if I'm not even connected to you by blood, but I'm connected to you by friendship, you are going to be able to get away with anything where I'm concerned, right? Again, go back in time a bit. When Derek Jakeman won and became the Minister of Education, he approached me to become the Chief Education Officer. I told him, no, B, none at all. That is a post that you rise up through the ranks to. You are going to be hauling me out of nowhere to put me in a post where I will be alienating a lot of people because they would have been the ones to rise. I won't accept that. I am going to be losing before I even start. Number one. And number two, it is incorrect and unjust. So for me, the injustice is the greater issue.
You know, a lot of people, no, may I say no. Most people
I
jump for the
understand that,
chance.
yeah. And it's not because I'm particularly good at all. It's because my area of training, if I had nothing else, helps me to understand what actions like that can do in a society.
We have another 5 minutes, but you come full circle because at that right there, so the friend and company and alliances that will make we can't stand up. That make we can't stand up.
You're not connected by blood. You're connected by friend company. You know? So now you're not seeing no wrong, man. You can't, you know, YaYa, I was unaware that Derek had resigned twice from the party. And on each instance, it was because of an attempt to include him in what he perceived to be wrongdoing. I wouldn't know it when it happened. I learned about it long afterwards, from him personally. So, the same thing happened with Mr. Philip on the matter of the maritime areas bill. You know, Mr. Phillips said, no, man, we cannot support Guatemala. This is supporting Guatemala.
Sister Cohen, can anybody with good character genuinely be part of a political party administration?
I didn't hear what you said. What?
Can a person with good character really expect to run for political office and think they could stay clean one and lay down with dog with food?
I don't think you can. But I think that many people don't know that that will happen to them. Some people enter politics genuinely believing that it is a virtuous undertaking. But it's far from virtuous undertaking. Because first of all, you're dealing with power, right? From the time you're dealing with power, well, I never did know that dealing with power is a clean affair. But most people don't know that. You understand? So they go in, and then of course the general public knows even less about that. So they don't understand that you go into politics. No, you don't have to look at Belize. Look at what happens outside of Belize in politics, you understand? To know that it is not a clean affair, it is not a virtuous affair, but it becomes even more unvirtuous when you have a dynastic structure based on family blood ties and friend and company. Oh my God, then what was already bad becomes a million times worse. And you can't get anything done. That is why our people are always running to be the henchman of somebody. You understand? We are operating, that kind of politics is not nowhere modern. That is the good old feudal structure. And it gets worse because you add to that, you tack on to that slavery, and Elizabeth, you got a proper mess.
Sister Kawhi, I have to go in about 2 minutes. No, wait. I got another 2 minutes. I want you to bring it full circle. How you explain we have one political dynasty like that, geopolitically, what that mean for Belize with the war on knowledge and information, with the coming president-elect? What that will mean for
And not
Belizean
only
people?
that, the wars that are being waged all over Africa and the Middle East as they seek territorial expansion. Because what Mr. Trump is actually proposing now is outright clear territorial expansion by force. So in other words, America will wage war to get more land. Remember, as climate change advances, America will lose land. I listened to a discussion where somebody, an expert, is predicting that Florida will be lost. In great parts of Florida, if not all of Florida, which is a peninsula, right, will be lost. So they are seeking now to expand territory on the argument that they need it for the security of the free world. That's what he said yesterday, the free world. Now, YaYa, here we are in Belize, battling to beg 300, I don't exactly know the figure of money we are seeking to get from the Millennial Challenge Corporation affair, right? And in my opinion, that money is going to be used to win the next election. Now, elections are an urgent necessity to the political leadership in the country on all sides. So, aren't you going to be prepared to do anything and everything to get what you need? You're not paying no attention to the geopolitical gravity. That don't matter to you because you don't ever worry about your political thing at all. You only worry about UDP win and UP lose, and you know why you're not next. So now, don't you agree with me that is what adds to our utter danger?
I agree. I have to go to a break, but I want to call back after break because you really carried on. With election coming, we need to continue this conversation. Big thanks, Sister Sandra.
Bye-bye.
All right, thanks. It's 2 cents come time. It's been sponsored by Fort Point Security, and that was Sister Sandra Cowie with a sheer hope we everyday life will be impacted based on decisions made by political leaders and what's happening globally. Break time. Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes for this morning, Wednesday, January 8, 2025. Why my sister just gave me some news that got me to pop with excitement. Thanks, Krista Flowers, Master Chief Operator for XTV. I don't know if Uname here when I think that Monday, that Memo's first day on WUB for 2025, and they had the Belize Diabetes Association. Caller, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
And that's YaYa to make 2 points. One,
Yes.
I don't know if your listeners are aware that Claudia Scheinbaum was interviewed by Radio America in Honduras on the statement of the Honduran President Xiomara Castro.
And both of them are left-leaning, right? Both women are left-leaning.
Yes, both of them.
Uh-huh.
And Scheinbaum responded that she is seeking to organize a regional summit to discuss the migration problem and its root causes.
That's what the foreign
I don't
minister.
know what that is all about.
Oh, let me ask you,
We will be attending.
Sister
and
Sandra,
could our government
I
indicate whether we'll be, pardon?
I asked Mose the same thing in a text on Monday because when he mentioned it, I can Google it.
Oh, he
And
mentioned it, the summit?
No, what I read said, I think at the end of January, they will have one meeting with foreign ministers. So I made a wonder if we foreign minister one today.
What you are talking about is the summit that Scheinbaum is calling for?
Scheinbaum is the president of Mexico, right?
Uh-huh.
Yes, I read something that said she was calling a meeting of foreign ministers at the end of January.
That is probably the issue. Yes, but I didn't know you had that. So I'm wondering, will we be attending and what will we be saying? And our people need to know and contribute because we, especially, bearing in mind that remnant populations are going to be, what I call remnant populations, what an Arab doctor calls surplus populations, are going to be the target in population control to create a more, to correct, that is the solution of some of the powers that be to correct the climate problem and the other problem. That's why you will exterminate the remnant population. So if you look at Belize, who would be the remnant population in Belize? Not the black population. We are the ones that are being severely impacted. Now, the people of Lebanese extraction, while they are very small, they are serious controllers of power. But that is not so any longer in the black population. So we have all the attributes of the remnant surplus population. So it is in our interest to ask what will be said at that conference and to actively participate in deciding what the legal discussion contribution should be. You know, so I didn't know it had come up already because I didn't hear all of those. I don't hear everything this morning, so I didn't hear that part when that started.
I'm looking for it so I could cite it, but I noticed that 2 hours ago, the Los Angeles Times have a headline: "Bracing for Trump, Mexico aims to roll out a panic app for Mexican nationals being deported."
Yes, because they are going for the Caribbean too. She wants to bring the Caribbean into the discussion. So Belize will be there in 2 capacities, as a member of the Latin American world and as a member of the Caribbean world is also Latin too, Cuba and Puerto Rico.
It's why I asked, because I saw what they were doing, so they have a panic app. And so that's why I sent to Mose privately, what is being done for Belizeans in the United States? Because everybody look out for them people. Mexico even add more people to the, so the 3 things what they want to do, they want to roll out the panic button for migrants living in the U.S. The emergency cell phone app would enable Mexican citizens facing imminent detention and deportation in the United States to alert diplomats and relatives. And 3, it's just one of the plans being devised in Mexico in case President-elect Donald Trump goes through with threats of mass deportation. So then to be proactive, and here we come back again to what you made talk about earlier, Sister Sandra, about thinking for yourself, looking out for the interests of Belizeans, being critical thinkers, and not wait for something happen to we Because what's being done on behalf of Belizeans living in the United States, especially the undocumented ones?
But yeah, Sharon Baum isn't only calling this to discuss that. She's also thought about the news I heard. It was, I heard her speak first. I heard the interview done with her, and she is calling. So I don't know if it's two different meetings or the same meeting. She is calling for attention to be given to the root causes, which is my argument. Argument, you see, our government in the Caribbean, in Latin America and elsewhere, we factor in remittances as part of the national income. You see? So that tells you that our politicians are happy that our people migrate so they could get that money. Isn't that what that tells?
Right.
So my understanding, because apparently the interview with Shaima was a longer interview, but they only played a portion. My understanding is she is seeking, or the Mexicans are seeking, to look at this thing truthfully. Because only unless you go to the truth are you going to be able to correct it. For example, one of the problems I keep arguing in end up with a surplus population in Latin America is the whole issue of fertility and birth and never been dealt with it. And bearing in mind that the industrial world, let me go to Korea. After the Korean War, Korea would restructure its society in order to industrialize. And the Far East always understood something we have never understood, that you cannot aspire to the industrial civilization only. You can't only want the civilization. You have to have the mechanics of that led to that civilization. And one of them was the family structure had to be restructured. And the Koreans did it. Now, of course, they are faced with an aging population and correcting that and all of that. But the point I'm trying to make is that the Far East understood far better than Latin America and we are the Caribbean as well have understood that you can't grasp a civilization onto an older civilization and think it will come out with a with a sane society. You're going to promote it a mess, which is what has happened to us. So you end up now, and then because the Roman Catholic Church dominated in this region, rhythm was the only methodology of birth control allowed under the Roman Catholic Church. But from my own parents' experience, I came to realize that rhythm only works if you're literate. And most of Latin America was illiterate. They are battling literacy now.
The rhythm, please explain it.
What is that?
Some people may not know what the rhythm method of birth control is. Please explain it.
Oh, that is when you control fertilization according to the ovulation cycle of the female. The menstrual cycle. You're going to menstruate every month. We are primates, right? And all primates have a monthly estrus, a lunar monthly estrus. So, like dogs, for example, only going to heat twice a year. But primates, that is, monkeys, chimpanzees, orangutans, all of us, humans, we menstruate monthly. And so monthly we can be fertile to produce a baby. That is the difference. That is what.
So you track your.
Catholicism, they use that ovulation cycle to control fertilization.
So you would track your menstrual cycle.
Or restrain sexual contact during the fertile period to stop fertilization.
Okay.
But
all
the
right.
point I'm making is, to do that, I came to realize from my own parents' experience, could only have happened if you were literate. Well, I'll share this about Mommy and Daddy. Apparently when they were prepared, marriage was proposed and everything, and Mommy accepted, they discussed how many children they wanted, because my father already had 3 children prior to the marriage, and those had to be taken care of. So, and Mommy wanted to go to work. So they decided they'd only have 2 children. So Mommy said that Daddy said to her, well, Margaret, as you know, I'm a Catholic, and in the Catholic faith, we use rhythm. You can use birth control, mechanical means, so we have to make up our minds which one we want to do. So Mommy said, she said to him, well, Lupe, I don't know anything about rhythm. This is the first time I'm hearing about it, and I don't know, and so you will have to instruct me. Well, my dad being like that, he went out and bought Dr. Book. I started knowing Mommy. I said, Mommy, but that sounded like a very, Mommy said, Sandra, I wanted only 2 children, and if that was going to get me what I wanted, then anything I was prepared to go along with it. And my father is the one who worked out her menstrual cycle, getting all information from her, and it was that, when Mommy first told me, it didn't hit me then. It would be afterwards, cogitating on this problem in Latin America, I realized that you can't have done that unless you were literate.
And it takes one level self-control as well.
Well, yes, that too. But prior to the self-control, you have to know how to calculate this thing. And if you can't read and write and add up, so you won't do that, YaYa. You understand what I mean?
Yes,
and that is that's what opened my eyes. I was in my 40s, 50s, late 40s, early 50s. Because it was on a visit of my mother's that I said, so who worked this thing out, Mommy? He said, oh, your father. I knew nothing about
that. That is so unlike what we know of Belizean men.
Yes, it was very much unlike, but Daddy was an unusual person to start with. But why I bring it up is this matter of literacy. And all over Latin America, now literacy has come to Latin America because of Protestantism, which was fostered by the United States in order to shift Latin America away from the communist socialist order, right? So the literacy that has taken off in Latin America took off for the same reason it took off in Europe after the Reformation.
But Sister Sandra,
people reading their Bible.
Let me ask you this, and to make the point that in Latin America, Catholicism was different than I would say in Belize when it comes to liberation theology, which would have to do with literacy as well.
I'm not sure I know what you want to say. What is you want to say?
No, the point I'm making is just like how you make the connection with as far as birth control and the importance of population growth or not, why in Latin America they would have had to be a literate society to be able to practice rhythm, which was the Catholic Church method of birth control without taking birth control, which is the one connection why I never make. I'm also making the point that Catholics in so-called Latin America, many of them from the Catholic faith, were exposed to liberation theology, which liberation theology was not part of the Catholic faith in Belize. Why you find one?
Well, you can't say it was. What happened was a portion of Catholic theologians went liberation theology. And for a time, and the Jesuits were particularly dominant in that struggle. So right in Belize, we had a number of Jesuits who could have been characterized definitely as liberation theologians. Liberation, but that liberation was particularly focused on the political, socio-political liberation of Latin America. I'll give you another example. There was a conference held in Belize in the 1970s. It was called the Justice and Peace Commission of Latin America, and the conference was held here. I was a delegate to that conference. I and a number of other young people of my generation, right? And a number of the heads from all the Central American countries, the highest person in their hierarchy came to Belize to participate. And myself, along with a number of the other young people, our focus was on the church moving to challenge the power structure in line with the ancient Judaic principle that the prophet is the kings. You see? But we couldn't get them to understand, and we warned them. And I know I was vocal in my warning. One day, Father, you will regret that you all didn't listen to us. And then, after that conference was held, the civil wars would escalate and take off. They were already in motion, but they got worse. And of course, it wasn't only that conflict. It was the petroleum increases and all of that, the last decade of debt that Latin America would go into. Everything would push it into the final third of number of the civil wars. But that was only for Central America. So the main preoccupation there was not then about population control, it was about the political, but the population always had a component in that, you understand what I mean? But we were concentrating on political, socio-political, economic liberation. And that is that was the primary focus of the liberation theological movement in the Roman Catholic Church. And that was laid long before that occurred. That was laid, one of the popes at the end of the 19th century wrote an encyclical called Rerum Novarum, of New Things. I think that was it. And that dealt with the labor movement. So the Roman Catholic Church was at the forefront of a redefinition of labor, initially in Europe. It was in Europe. And the upward movement of societies out of the feudal labor structure that still dominated Europe.
So
vast portions of Europe.
That liberation theology was an intentional shift of power from the elitists to more people power. And it's within that people power framework that you're saying that people would have needed to be literate to have this level of awareness and starting at home rhythm for birth control, which I would say that's something we never have. I believe we never have that.
I don't really have anywhere I would even say, because as I tell you, it's an extremely scientific method, but it was never presented that way, you understand? Because remember, in the Roman Catholic Church, the bishop and the pope and the priest are the source of all knowledge and authority.
And they're supposed to not have sex.
Pardon?
And they're supposed to not have sex, but they're an authority for everything, including the rhythm method.
And the ordinary populace, and remember, all that was done to Latin America was to keep a mass of poverty-stricken peasants, just virtual slaves, in order to ensure the financial wheel kept running. So the Latin American was trapped in ignorance and confusion, but at the same time that is happening, Marxism and communism and socialism are rising at the doorstep of Latin America and taking root. As a friend of mine pointed out to me, a young friend of mine pointed to me some years ago, he said, "But Miss Boyd, what you are not taking into consideration that Latin America has a dominant public school system," and that is true. Dominant public school, you had a mass of poverty-stricken people, and the public school system is what they went to, and that public school system had a large component of secular instruction. You see, it was secular, it wasn't religious at all.
Oh, Sister Sandra, I will have to go to a break again, but I never know that. I never know.
Yes.
You just said Latin America.
Latin America, I just end quickly with this. The roving bands of thieves that are arising in the United States. In California, they're going to boutiques and shopping malls. Now we know they are attacking the homes of, invading the homes of big stars. Though, in my opinion, those, and then look at the drug cartels in Latin America. Don't you get the impression that they are highly cosmopolitan, highly sophisticated? You don't get that understanding?
Yes, that has been evidenced and researched. Yes, they can run Wall Street corporations.
That to the educational and there there's another phenomenon in Latin America that has us occurring beneath. It's unusual to Latin America. Latin America's ruling class children are invariably rebels when they are in university. And there is a wonderful letter, it's called, I don't remember the exact, it's written in the line of the Russian writer, Fathers and Sons. It's a letter from a Venezuelan minister to his son, who is out in the streets rebelling and staging strike and all sorts of the uprising in Venezuela back in, I would say, maybe around the late 60s, early 70s. And in that letter, the father lays out his concerns for the country and his identity with his son, but where they differ. So that is an unusual feature. So many of Latin America's rebels came from Latin America's ruling class. Something that is very unusual, eh? You don't usually find that. But because of the educational system being so secularized, they have church-run universities, but they also had dominant state-run universities. And those universities had more money at their disposal to give them a better education. So even the children of the wealthy went there. You understand what I'm saying?
All right, I have to go to a break, but if I could call back, because I did learn and I show our listeners, viewers, and I know that longer you may think, sis, but I really appreciate the dialogue, as usual. Thanks. Break time. Up Belize Morning Vibes for this morning, Wednesday, January 8, 2025. Give thanks to Sister Sandra Cowie. I feel like I have a virtual co-host. It makes my life so much easier and a really engaging conversation. Their kind of conversation, more of it needed. Hit up Samia, Andrew, and Miranda, tuning in from Jamaica. Big thanks for listening to WB, Samia. Morning.
Good morning.
Yes. Thanks for calling WB.
Yes. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I heard the fundraiser input. I think you are very interesting and effective.
Yes, sis.
Critical thinking.
Mm-hmm.
We may say, and rightfully so, that the general society occupied with everyday routine, work, children, school, and we say that they don't use enough research, etc.
Mm.
But we do know that people are on social media and that they listen to the radio. That we know.
Well, I guess different generation, like one certain generation listen to, and whether they listen to on radio, they might listen to music as opposed to...
No doubt. But which media, including yours, has asked the Prime Minister or the government to explain how he reduced poverty from 52 to 26? So that is critical thinking of the media, I would say. Show me where and how, what did you implement to now say that you have cut poverty in half? The only thing I see in half nowadays is that people don't ask for a half a banana or a half a wheat. If one land has 75 cents, they're giving half a knife. That is cutting it in half. Nobody has asked them, and the institute, the statistical institute, has manipulated figures from the answer. With the unemployment, they're not unemployed, they just don't work. But poverty, he reduced it by 50%. I don't think any leader in the region, from La Patagonia way up to Canada, has managed to reduce their poverty rate by 50% in 4 years. But we have very talented people now in government.
Well, sister,
but nobody has asked that question. Why?
valid question, because people on the ground, even though we hear and they say that don't know we live on the ground with minimum wage of $5 an hour.
The thing is that the media, I put a lot. Maybe I burden the media too much. But it's the easiest way to divulge information. And even if you don't ask the Prime Minister, just tell your people, your audience, I wonder how they do that. Maybe one of these days they'll tell me how they do it. And just keep the doubt in people's mind, but nobody queries that. Anyway, so that's my beef with the media and manipulation of statistics.
I agree with your sister. Valid observation.
Okay. Anybody remember a country called Venezuela?
No, you know good and well that people remember Venezuela.
Well, you know, I have a lot of people there. Well, not anymore. They died and they left. But I never seen no outrage when Chavez got into power. Not in the world, in the world. I don't see any outrage with Chavez and Maduro exporting what they call their political militias, that's what they call it, throughout Latin America. How they try to destabilize certain countries in Latin America. Peru is tired of them. Bolivia is tired of them. Chile just removed their ambassador from Venezuela. But nobody says nothing about that.
But sister,
No, I don't know.
sister, if people that believe not to pay attention to their own business.
But I mean, Venezuela has been sacked sucked and sucked dry by many countries, and not one. The election was in July. Fonseca said that he's going to wait to see what happens to make a comment. But yet we love jump when Miss Smokeless says something. Oh, we jump on her bandwagon and like we piggyback. You hear what she said? Man, she's right on point. When Miss Castro says something, man, when a big talk, you hear what? It tell them about themselves. When somebody else says something, when Schumann goes from Cuba for Palestine, yeah, it tell them about we piggyback on what somebody else said. Why we don't tell the state that directly?
But
Why
that
we don't
that
tell
the
them
point.
what-
That
Why
the
we
point.
don't tell them, listen, if you deport 3 people, we are expelled you nationalize. Why we not do that?
That the point Sister Sandra Cowie was making earlier.
Okay.
Our political leaders, and by extension the community, not exhibit common sense, work in your best interest, critical thinking, what happening in the region, Latin America, Caribbean, globally, have one
Okay.
direct. We not have that.
So now you have Venezuela now that is totally militarized as of a week ago. This man says that he will not be removed from the presidency, whatever calls it. He lost the election 68 to 32%. He lost the election. And this is where you're famous thing people and say the people have never worked. 68% of the population says we want you out. You all have destroyed Venezuela. But he says that he says, and nobody says anything. Nobody says that that is a threat to democracy. Nobody says that.
Well, my sister,
No,
I don't know if I agree with you that nobody said nothing, because if it left to the U.S. corporate media, they always got something to say about Venezuela. Want to support?
Miss YaYa, I maybe understand the ties that the region has to the U.S. I don't have ties to the U.S. So every time, every day, Mothad and you or whoever back or the state, it gets on my nerves. I not depend that me couldn't care where the Washington Post and me couldn't care. I couldn't care. Why are we so obsessed with that? Talk about our region. Venezuela has destabilized several countries. Now that they're getting tired of it, now they're kind of wake up and say, well, this can't continue. Because the man went in and said, I got to move. And so the military, yesterday they kidnapped the son-in-law of the one that won the elections in front of his children, taking them to school. Kidnapped, we don't know where he is. The other lady, house surrounded by military, like if they come out, they shoot you. So people not afraid of people. And I am passionate about this because it's been 20-something, nearly 30 years of this voodoo. And nobody, but when they get the money, oh my God, oh, everything good, everything good. Trinidad has not spoken, Barbados, none of those countries have spoken. And much less concerns that got pardoned so much millions of dollars in this. But you say, it's not the U.S. I mean, please don't bring the U.S. that
Geopolitical mean in at the home, globally in the region. But
And-
there's
and
no
it
way.
says-
There's no way we could touch every single story. So there will be slippage. But that's why we have people like you who could call in and bring in your perspective.
YaYa for the past month or so. Because I listen to all the radio stations every day. Not even religion issues come up. Well, they mentioned one or two on person call and said that they have this experience and that everything has been foreign states, deportation, Palestine, Israel, everything. We don't talk. I didn't say your 2 cents come inside the market.
I no longer produce and host 2 cents come. Someone else
I
does
know
it
you
now.
don't. I know you don't. But the thing is that they don't go to the market. It looks like they don't walk around like 3 people. Ram to put foot on the table like what we used to say. We can't eat free. We can't put foot on the table. I know here the activist, Mr. Moses, so come out again. Every time the price of bread go up by 5 cents, it talk and it this and it that, and valid points he used to make. It looks like we live in La La Land and Wonderland now that they have no issue with anything that's going on in this country. We don't talk about that. If it's Mr. Nuri, he speaks, of course, of what he, the LIU, and the gangs, and what they're doing, and everything, yeah, we got a lot of work to do, and that's it. We don't talk about the purchasing power of our dollar. Again, we've lost about 45% of its value. What you used to could buy with $100 years ago, you need now $145 or $50 to buy that. Nobody speaks about that, not even the people media.
Sister, you sure you listen to WB every single day, every show? No, I want to give you leeway that there are certain conversations we don't have, and that human, we can't catch everything. But come on, oh, you go too far now. We do have somebody invite. No other media house thing, they have the level of conversation we have at the extent where we have it and the consistency where we have it now.
That's fine, that's your point of view.
That's not my point of view, that's the truth. That's why the whole you accountable.
What I'm saying is not false, or are we going to call it misinformation?
No. I didn't tell you blatantly that what you accuse me of is not true to the extent that you are making the accusation. I'm admitting that there are some slippages.
You say that's the use of language. I'm not accusing you. It's not like I want to get punished and this, because that is what an accusation results in.
Okay, make I give one example. You said at all.
I'm stating that I don't feel you guys anymore.
No.
With the daily issues. If, for example, yesterday, there was no mention on, except in the news, there was no comment about the Jamaican health in the airport. Not a one. Not a one comment was made on the plight of this young man. It was only in the news. That's it.
Okay, will you accept that we want... one second, sis. Would you accept...
There hasn't been a comment, for example. I remember when the famous Panama Papers come out, we made it salivate to say if any of we people made it on the list. So now we have a Panamanian company that's going to get a Port Authority contract for $2.6 million. Not a comment about it. Not even saying, well, please, I mean, we request accountability. How did this go about?
Okay, sis. I ask you for allow me, right? That I admit to you that no media house could cover every single story what may be of interest to every single viewer. I accept that, right? But what I not accept is that you, in a one instance, when you talk about the purchasing power, that has been a story that has been consistent at WB, fleshed out in a different ways. So I just said to you, sis, I agree from this media house position, and we got 3 media houses. There may be some slippages, but still there's no other media house in this country where they have the kind of bread and butter and geopolitical conversations from the positions that we have it, and that what part we have the slippage, that we have one open line like this, where the people could call and hold we accountable and bring their story forth. That's all I say.
But all the stations do that. And some are biased. I think all are biased. Yes, you have a friend, all of them are biased. But they all have a little calling section, except for the second Prime Minister, like right now, Prime Minister the Trump. But I would like to know then, as a whole world. I try to do my research, but I find nothing about how they cut poverty in half. I can't find it. I want to explain to me how they do that.
Valid
Anyway,
question.
I'm getting on the road to drive on the road.
All right then.
And I must drive safely. So,
Thanks for the call.
well, okay.
One love. Thanks for the call. And I have to when callers calling. We not always agree with healthy disagreement, good. But one of the things that excite me, we have to go to a break in about 4 minutes. Caller, thanks for calling. We only have 4 minutes to break time.
Just back, because I hope it was not my tendency to cover international topics that was being referred to. You cannot live in a world of 7 to 8 billion people and only pay attention to your corner when your corner of 400 and odd thousand people are going to be severely impacted by what affects that others. The remainder of, after you subtract us from the 7 to 8 billion, what is left? That's number one. Number two, you can understand sometimes the micro, you are too close to it. So when you draw back from the micro image to look at the macro, then you see, oh, I can see the house amongst all the other houses. But when you're all up in front of your house, you can't see what's behind, what's around, what's to the side, you can't see. But when you draw back, and I maintain and I stand by what I say, that Palestine is an experiment that is being carried out that will be applied to all of humanity. And I'm not the only person saying that. That's a fact. If it goes through and it succeeds, and to all intents and purposes it appears to be succeeding, it will enter the military handbooks and will be studied. Years ago, YaYa, I got accidentally into a program that it was entitled, I think, Strategic Planning for Urban Warfare, Urban Guerrilla Warfare. You know, such a thing was being, I didn't know such a thing was being discussed. So we can sit in our corner and not want to look out there, but out there will determine what will happen to us. And I just want to end with this. I had called, the second reason for calling was to give a quotation from the Argentinian poet philosopher. Si los malos supieran que barato es ser bueno. If only the bad eggs knew how cheap it is to be good. And that applies to both the bad eggs and the people surrounding them. At the end of the day, you pay a lower price when you stick to doing the right thing as much as you're able to do. We all fall short of the glory of Almighty God, all of us.
Sister
but if we
Sandra,
recover and stick to it as much as we can, it works out to be a better society, a healthier society. To start with, you put some on your doctor bill. To start with, so you will laugh more, be happier, you won't be living with the flight factor dominating your body all God day, so you're releasing the chemicals that deal with that and your body. No, you're not going to be. So make up a mind with work about it.
Sister Sandra,
because it's cheap.
I agree. I want to tell you that the Tika Times of January 2nd, 2025, Honduras threatens to expel U.S. military bases over Trump's deportation plan. And it was in there that that it says that the president
of... Where was that report, YaYa? Where was that report?
Tika Times of Costa Rica. And
out of Tico.
Right. And it was there that it said that Claudia Sheinbaum said that she announced that as president of the Community of Latin America and Caribbean States, she will convene in January together with the president of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, a meeting of foreign ministers to address the issue of migration. According, that's what she said would happen. And I think in here it says that that it should be at the end of January. So I just got back and look for it for tell you that they were part I'd gotten that from. Okay.
What I heard this morning was an excerpt from apparently in the aftermath of that an interview that was done, but they didn't play the whole thing. They only played a small portion of it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's significant, and I really think we need to know what is going to be said because we will be affected one or the other. We'll either be taking in people or Guatemala will take us over in order to house all the people she's proposing to take over from the United States.
Right, and I read something where the president of Mexico also said I think she opened to taking in other nationals other than Mexican nationals based on the mass deportation. But thanks for the heights of reasoning, Sister Sandra Curry. We value you. Take care of yourself. One love. It's break time, and when we come back, I have to talk about Belize Diabetes Association 1 million steps walking challenge where MCO just tell me about. Oh, you know what? I love to walk. It's a challenge. We are stretch talking after the break. Stay tuned.
In
Police Morning Vibes for this morning, Wednesday, January 5th, 2025. I feel like a hype fan, Sister Sandra, Carlene, so make I calm myself down. And one of the things we're hype about is, I'm going to listen Monday when the Blaze Diabetes Association made the Ann, but I made the Ina out. So I missed this 1 million steps challenge. And that challenge is from January 2nd, April 16th. And the flyer is being shown right now. Morning, thanks for calling WV. Talk to me. Morning, brother. How the New Year to treat you?
Yes, New Year's kind of rough because you see how the weather behaves. Nothing nice right now.
And what does that have to do with fishers, Nigel?
That got a lot to do with fishers. You don't know that once weather stand like this, the fishers, they can't jump in at the sea as how they want.
And right now that conch season, right? And right now that conch season.
Right now the lobster and conch season.
But the lobster and conch season.
But sis, allow me a couple minutes just before you jump into the next topic, because I think what Sister Sandra was mentioning this morning was very crucial and critical for our understanding. Why am I saying this is, listen, what happened outside, what happened here, either directly or indirectly. And if you recall, the government, our government, went and leveraged 30% of our sea, where we depend on for our livelihood,
Nigel,
well-being.
I don't know if we have enough time for flesh this
Yes,
out,
yes,
but
but-
broke
yes,
that,
but allow-
no. Broke
just
that
allow
down
me
for
2
way.
minutes.
Broke that down for way when you say the government leverage 30% I will see. Broke it down so we could understand what you mean by that.
Well, what I am saying is that the government went and get one loan, and in result of that loan, for $364 million US, leverage out 30% of our sea. And what I mean by leverage out 30% of our sea, they are going to divide up our sea into several no-take zones, whereby our fishers will be unable to go and fish for livelihood and produce food for this nation. But the point what I try to bring across, because I don't want to stray from what Sister Sandra was mentioning this morning, the fact that what is happening internationally, when we look at what the Trump administration plans to do with Greenland, what they plan to do with the Panama Canal, what they're looking at Canada, and looking at changing the name from the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, that is setting some serious precedents in what Guatemala might decide what they want to do with the claim that they have over Belize, what Honduras might plan to do. So to Mo's point on Monday, where he said that, listen, as Caribbean nation, we have to take a position. We have to come together. We have to make a serious decision, because when that deportation started, I mean, while our government is pushing back and, hey, they're not serious, it is serious. And it will impact, and it's going to change our natural resources. And that's why I started off the comment by saying that we have to remember that we are accountable to these bondholders for 30% of our natural resource, where we depend on to produce food security for this nation. And when you have now a mass deportation coming, and you know immediately the quickest thing for the government, give them a fishing license and send them out there to go fish.
Nigel.
That's not the case.
Nigel, keep in mind the mass deportation that for so-called Central America in particular, and with our porous borders, that what you think the other people won't come?
They want to run straight here. This is what I am saying. Listen, yeah, sis, we already have Guatemalan and Honduran fishers fishing in our water that have legal license, no Libya, take all of the products and carry it back to their country. Now imagine what 3-4 times the amount of those individuals get access to come into our water.
And then with an upcoming general election, and because the law say right now, if you have one, what is it, a permanent residence?
Permanent residence.
You could get fishing license now.
You could get a fishing license. You see, so what the sister was saying is very critical, and she mentioned the word dangerous. And I stand in support with her, because the approach that the Trump administration is taking globally is an approach of power, it's an approach of influence. So we have to be mindful, and it's an approach of strength. We have to be mindful that the president that they are going to take is going to influence other countries like Guatemala and Honduras. So I know that we have, just before I left this, I don't know if you have seen on the Belize Fund for Sustainable Future, on their website, they have posted up what it is that Belizean wants to know about Blue Bond, about the Blue Bond. Let them know. The reason why I brought that up, because they showed that they have already approved approximately $22.4 million into marine conservation. But how is it, or how much of that money has impacted the life of Monkey River, Punta Negra, Toledo, Barranco, Hopkins, Dangrig, all our coastal fishing communities, right? Now they want to come to the general public, because I believe they got wind of UBAD and BFF advocacy campaign and awareness campaign on this whole Blue Bond matter.
When they post that, Nigel?
I just got a wind of it. I believe they posted up on the 6th, on Monday.
Oh, okay, because UEF has been, I have been saying consistently that in January, UBAD Educational Foundation and Belize Federation of Fishers want to start one year-long campaign about the Blue Bond, and people are saying, it has done come out of the stable already. Why they sign the Blue Bond? Because we need to understand how that never worked in the interest of Belizeans. So that one knowledge awareness, so at least going forward, when would it have a certain impact, like you hear what Nigel just shared with you, for example. Let's say if we don't have one issue with the questioning of the fish stock. So if we can't access fin fish, for example, lobster, conch, if the costs go up with the awareness where UEF and BFF and Nigel, that the director for BFF, Nigel Martinez, is on the line right now, when we can't access it, because it will happen eventually, or the costs go up, at least we have one base level of knowledge of why, which should have happened before the political leaders that I talked to directly, Miganga and sign up on that Blue Bond. The Blue Bond, no, it was never designed for work. Now, TNC have one level of responsibility, but for we responsibility that to the government of Belize. So, thanks for telling me that, Nigel. You know they say when you knock dog, holla. So, anything else I want to say in the next minute before we have to go to break?
You know, sis, I just want to make we keep the conversation consistent, because at the end of the day, we have to look out for our people.
Respect. Respect. Thanks, brother. Honor the people and save the people. Break time.
In Belize, we value our family.
Welcome back to the final segment of Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes. I can't take no more calls, but give thanks to the 3 people who are calling. It make my life so much easier. Whenever I host, that all I ask gonna just call so we could reason. But back to this challenge, this Belize Diabetes Association challenge. It's a 1,000,000 steps challenge from January the 2nd to the 16th of April. For the people that want to live stream, or they're on YouTube XTV Belize or Facebook XTV Belize, then they see the image. Or they look on the local TV channel, the Belize. And I do the calculation, right? You know, we always say about try and make your goal daily for be 10,000 steps. 10,000 steps equal to about 6 miles. 1,000,000 steps equal to about 500 miles. No, I definitely need to get fit. And so this come right up my alley, and we have one small team, the XTV, and the team, they work together, because for some people, when you have somebody who can hold you accountable. So for example, for we team, you have to download one app. You go to the Belize Diabetes Association Facebook page or their website, all the information today. You download one app, the app track your daily steps, and then you could invite your friends there, and then you could say what the for their steps. It really don't matter to me what the prizes are, because it's our investment in it for we self, and then collectively as a team, it could be your family, community. I love the challenge. Usually upon Wednesday, I give a report back on United Black Association for Development Educational Foundation. Next step for the hashtag BZE Hair Law 2024. Starting in late October, I'm going to do some physical protests in front of the Ministry of Education District Center on Mahogany Street, holding the Ministry of Education accountable for have one hair policy, so we don't have to ever again, when one new school year start, especially at the secondary or high school level, hear that one student or students somewhere in the country get sent home because they don't follow the school rules, which are colonial hair rules. And because they don't follow the colonial hair rules, then get sent home, which deny their education. Now, the Minister of Education and past CEOs, Chief Executive Officers of the Ministry of Education and Chief Educational Officers of the Ministry of Education, known to come out and give lip service about sending out circulars or memorandums based on individual reported cases. I remember all the cases of these 2 human rights violations not always make the news, that we just said that we need to be active with the Ministry of Education in creating a fair hair policy for the whole country. So I tell them in 2025, we want we are scale up, that buzzword, this campaign. So the reason why I know for 2025, I don't have no dates for the physical protest, because I don't hear back it from the police department. And what would they ask for 2025 is we want to move the protest to the headquarters for the Ministry of Education on North Front Street, and we would ask for the date change on Tuesdays. No, I'd be very strategic about it, because I don't know that I want a big day for tourists come in, and we want to internationalize this protest. And so that's one of the ways. I'm going to say that I want to open a Facebook page, but Facebook don't want to have no Facebook page, so I'll be Facebook. I will have to use Instagram under my name for then encourage Belizeans to be active in this process. And then 3, we're excited about the Belize Diabetes Challenge. Another thing we would do for scale up and bring more awareness about these 2 human rights violations. I currently live in our community, the Ladyville. I've been house sitting for my sister, retired military officer, since 2017 for a period of time. And so the intention is, and she is willing, because we are working people, we at least once a month, depending on how our body feel, if not twice a month, along with the bi-weekly protests in Belize City, is to walk from a house at Ladyville to the Ministry of Education building on North Front Street. That's the Belize Diabetes Challenge. So I'd wait to hear back from the Belize Police Department to tell me when we could come in and get a protest permit. And the hope is that when we walk on the road, that people want to see we when I can afford to have one African hairstyle by Malika Wagner, bring awareness to this particular campaign, because it's on behalf of Belizean children. Belizean students and the one that want to ban it. So please, I'd encourage you now for go to the Belize Diabetes Association Facebook page and or website. Download the app. This is our investment in our well-being and participate. Start to walk. 1 million steps, about 500 miles. Bite size. I mean, just walk about. I said two of my co-workers now, they slick kind of rain outside. Then they march in a place. Then they walk in a place and it count. So even if you say you can't go outside, kind of rain, walk in your, wherever you're there. Just march in one spot. Just do one thing. And if you're bust for a sweat, even better. Anyways, big thanks to everybody who participated. We want to thank the 2 security guards. I think that Lloyd Lewis was at the gate. Probably, who there at the gate right now? Shane? Shane Flowers at the security booth. Big thanks. Big thanks to Kim Graham and Go. My brother Kello come out in at the rain, bring me breakfast. Thanks, Kim. Community love every single time. The bestest coffee. I know coffee not good, but I want to drink the coffee and I like it. Krista Flowers, Master Chief Operator here at XTV. We have Senior Engineer Technician, Brother Cliff Lewis. And downstairs on the 2nd floor, we have Larry G, Engineering for Creme Radio. This show on repeat 3:30, Christy. 3:30 here on the local XTV channel. Remember, Belizean people, we have one duty to ourselves, our unborn children, to be the best human beings we know for be. And especially when we disagree, to remind ourselves, to control emotions. A recent thing was say, if you just react to something what somebody say, that their past trauma, the trigger that. If you pause before your response, and you think if you even should respond to that person, and if you do to respond in a more even, kind tone, that's being present and wanting to be your best self at a work planet. And so until tomorrow when Brother Nur Muhammad will be here, I want to have the best Wednesday morning, Wednesday, full day that you could have. Give thanks that we're still there. And I want always accept that only the people want to save the people. One love.
Wake up, Billy. 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 Another day is here. Wake up, Billy. Wake up, Billy. We gotta keep moving. Na 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 na. Wake up, Billy. Wake up, Billy. Everybody gotta put the time in. Wake up, Billy. Wake up, Billy. Voice our opinion and place your calling. WB. Be yourself, see yourself.